The following broadcast is brought to you by the iGolf Sports Network.
Golf Talk Live is sponsored by the iGolf Sports Network and Golf Tips Magazine. Here's Andrew to tell you more about our sponsors.
iGolf Sports is a live stream broadcast and media production company providing quality programming designed to attract the golfing enthusiast. And Golf Tips, the game's most in-depth instruction magazine, including reviews on the latest equipment, tips from top teaching professionals, all designed to help you improve from tee to green. Welcome to Golf Talk Live with your host, Ted Odorico. Join Ted each week as he speaks with some of the best in golf. This week's special guest will join us a bit later. But first up is another great discussion on Coach's Corner. So let's introduce tonight's Coach's Corner panel.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Season 13 of Golf Talk Live. I'm your host, Ted Odorico. Joining me this week on the Coach's Corner panel is my good friend, John Hughes. I'll tell you a little bit about him in just a moment. And then tonight's featured guest is Marcy Komoda, who is the CEO and co-founder of Proto Concept Golf. He'll be joining me a little bit later on in the broadcast. But if you want to see this week's show or any of the previously aired episodes, you can visit the iGolf Sports YouTube channel or go to Spotify.com. And you can also listen to the audio version on Spreaker.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe to the iGolf Sports channel and get notified as new episodes drop each and every week. And if you're looking to step up your game, then become a premium member at golftipsmag.com. There are 3 membership levels available: silver, gold, or platinum. By becoming a premium member, you'll gain access to special content provided by Golf Tips Top 25 instructors. You can also check out the latest golf news, equipment, and product reviews, plus top travel destinations in time to book your next buddy trip. And as a premium member, you'll receive exclusive discounts from our premium golf partners. So register today at golftipsmag.com. All right, let me tell you about my friend John here. I know many of you are familiar with him, for those of you tuning into the broadcast, but I'll tell you anyways. He is a PGA Master Professional, and he's the past president of the North Florida PGA section. And also a recipient of the 2013 PGA of America Professional Development Award, and also 2009 and 2023 North Florida PGA Teacher and Coach of the Year, and a Golf Digest Best in State Instructors from 2023 to present. And he's a senior contributing editor and top 25 instructor with Golf Tips Magazine. So, John, welcome back once again to the show.
Ted, always a pleasure to take care of business with you on this show.
Well, I appreciate it, and glad you could join me. And you've got a beautiful backdrop there. So very quickly, tell us, the folks, where you are. I know you're going to talk about it at the end of the broadcast as you do your out credit, but where are you today?
So right now, I'm in a very hospitable climate of Hot Springs, Virginia, and behind me is the Omni Homestead Resort. I'm hoping before the end of the podcast, I don't start shivering because my Florida blood's too thin here.
Well, I would say I feel sorry for you, John, but no, not going to happen. You got
I don't think most people are feeling sorry for me, sir.
No, I don't. You got the best of both worlds. All right, my friend, we're going to talk. You and I are going to talk about, I know this is going to seem to some a similar road that we've traveled on before, but we're going to talk about the 5 most important areas of golf, really for any amateur to master. Obviously, we're going to talk about the putting and short game and that, but we're going to do this from a little bit different perspective. So I'm going to throw out these different areas. And what I want you to do is to expand a little bit, talk about how it's going to save our amateur strokes. And then I'm going to throw in a few things that what amateurs should know. So I'm going to handle that part of it. And you're going to talk about an expanded version of how it's going to save them some strokes. So we're going to talk about putting. And I think putting is arguably the most critical and certainly the highest leverage part of the game, where you're going to save a lot. So I want you to talk about really how our amateurs becoming better putters are going to save strokes. And you can talk about different techniques if you want, or different ways that they can better prepare themselves on the dance floor, as it were.
Again, thanks for the opportunity. Always fun to be here. And you glossed over it. I say it a little bit more in somebody's face. The math says that if you're shooting 100 or even in the 90s, the math says not, hey, put your driver in play. That's only part of it. It's reducing your putting. To share some of the things you're probably going to give The person who's shooting 100 is probably putting somewhere between 36 and 44 times around. And there's a lot of three putts. It could be some four putts, but you have to understand what causes that many. And what a lot of people believe is, man, I missed that short putt. Man, I missed that short putt. And I've had four groups here the past couple of weeks where people have come in and they totally blame the short putting. And I ask them, well, wait a minute, what about the second putt that was 12 feet away that created the third putt that was 3 feet away?
Right.
The real ambiance to this is understanding distance control and trying to really get focused on targets. Not necessarily how close I'm trying to get it, but literally in my mind, you're trying to make it without getting too aggressive. You're never, I would say it this way to the average amateur. When was the last time you missed a putt 12 feet to the side? You don't miss putts 12 feet to the side. You miss them 12 feet short or long.
Hmm.
So from that standpoint, can you start learning to control the putts that you have from far away? And what is that average first length putt, whether you hit a green or not? What the stats are is you probably have a 35 footer most of the time. You're not behind me on this practice green practicing 35 footers. You're concerned about your 3 and 6 footers, and you're never having those until it's a third or a fourth putt. So you got to start there with distance control. You got to start with centered contact to help you keep good distance control.
Hmm.
And then if you can hit putts from within 3 feet to gain some confidence all around the hole, I call it the around the world drill. I've talked about this before on previous episodes of the podcast. They call it the Hogan drill, where he was out at the country club of Charleston literally with 10 balls at 10 feet, but he had started at 3 feet and asked the people to come out and shine the headlights on the putting green. It's just amazing what you can do building 3 feet of confidence and allowing it to loot outward. However, how far out's realistic? And once you, the beginner, the 100 shooter, the 90, gets to about 4 feet, it gets a little bit iffy. So that distance control is what brings it in for your ability to have that 3 footer.
Well said, and you're exactly right. Obviously, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to hit a few points that we want our amateurs to know. And distance control is first and foremost, is key. And you want to focus obviously on the speed of the putt first, then the line, because as you said, you're not missing it left or right 12 feet. You're missing it short or long 12 feet. So distance control is key. And then you also need to understand to become a better putter, is you need to know how to read the greens properly. Look for the overall slope, subtle breaks, and sort of the effects of the grain it may have on the grass. So you want to be cognizant of that. And then you always want to practice with purpose, spend more time on short to mid-range putts than the longer ones. Not saying you shouldn't practice long ones, but if you work on your short game, which we're going to talk about here now, is hopefully you're not going to have too many long putts. So, those are some key things that every amateur should know. And you touched on some great points as well. And particularly the distance control, I think, is foremost in becoming a better putter. The short game, John, we're going to talk about chipping and pitching. These shots are typically played from about 100 yards from the green. And most amateurs lose a lot of strokes here as well. So how can they best save strokes? What can they do to improve their short game in order to save those strokes there?
So the first order of business is, how do you control distance again with both of these shots? Let's give you the basic definition. A chip shot's going to roll more than it flies. A pitch shot's going to fly more than it rolls. So you can actually hit a chip shot with a 60-degree wedge, and you can hit a pitch shot with a 9-iron.
Mhm.
You don't have to be stereotypically having a club that's going to make it go higher or lower to execute any of those shots. The the adage that you should live by, if I can putt it, I'm going to putt it. If I can't putt it because maybe I'm too far off the green and there's too much rough to putt through. Maybe there's a sprinkler head between me and the green. Maybe there's too much junk. It's not a smooth surface, period. That's when you're wanting the chip. So if you can putt it, putt it. If you can't putt it, chip it. Numerous times out on the golf course, I'm taking 6-iron from 125 and setting up as a chip shot and hitting like a 9-3 shot, and it's a bigger chip shot, and the ball doesn't go very high. It
Mm,
lands short of the green and rolls forever, and everybody's like, "How did you do that, and how'd you get it so close?" It's literally just sticking to a standard of what a chip shot is, and it's supposed to not fly very high, but it should roll and release quite a bit. When we're talking about short game, however, we're talking about close to the green. I think what most people do is they don't try to control their distance by choosing a club. They're trying to do it with their swing, and they're doing it in the wrong place of their swing. Think about it this way: if you bring the club back this far, it's got to finish this far. But what most people do is they bring it back just that little bit more and then try to slow it down. And that's the biggest mistake I see with average amateurs in the 100 range. They're trying to control the speed on the way down. It's
yeah.
already set. It's already set, just like as if you'd pull a slingshot. It's already set. You're not going to slow it down and then release it. It doesn't
Mm,
work that way. There's other things I've written about in blog posts as far as setup and how you'd alter setup to change the distance it's going to go. But the real key is you must accelerate. I think the biggest variable, the biggest setup opportunity anybody has to limit your backswing, which in turn is going to limit your distance, is by opening up your stance and making a swing that's not across your body, but a swing towards your target. Because when you're open in your stance and you're trying to go to your target, you can only bring the club back but so far. And the more you open the stance, the less it's going to go. It's very compact, and now you can accelerate at a couple of schools up here where two or three people were totally closed to their target and they wondered why they're always chunking.
yeah.
You're closed. You have this big swing and you're trying to slow it down. The other thing that you have to realize, it's still target orientation. It's still, believe it or not, trying to make a chip shot, but you have to have an intermediate target for you to make it. What most average 100 shooters do is they don't pick a spot on the green for that ball to land on. They're just arbitrarily saying, you know what, let's get it on the green, see how far it rolls. Well, further it flies to the hole, the more it's going to roll past it. You don't get it onto the green surface, which provides you a very consistent rollout. Maybe you hit the fringe, maybe you're just off the side. Those are very inconsistent surfaces when it comes to the compaction, the length of grass, that kind of thing. You've lost total control over the one shot, the one thing that you can do that you have the most control over, and that's to get the ball on the green rolling. So those are the things that when somebody's shooting 100, we're trying to get their short game, particularly the chipping, better. I try to shy away from it. Most of my coaches try to shy away from it. All the people I've ever talked about with this about is we're always trying to get someone to chip it before they pitch it, because as soon as it gets up in the air, there's a lot of control that you've given up to fate.
Yeah, well said, and that's so true. And just a couple of other things that amateurs certainly should know is understanding the difference between chip and pitch, which you just pointed out here in your last statement. And a chip typically, again, is a low running shot, while pitch is a higher, more lofted shot meant to land softly, which is great under certain circumstances. But again, you're giving away a lot of the control when it's the more it's up in the air. So when you're able to chip, as you said, as opposed to pitching whenever possible around the greens, that's the way to go. You need to also know your clubs. Use different clubs from your wedges, even up as much as even up to a 7-iron, to control how the ball rolls versus how it flies. And practice with one thought. For many amateurs, a simple hinge and hold might be a technique can produce predictable, consistent shots. So there's a lot of good information there, and you pointed out and really expanded on a lot of things I think will help many of our amateur golfers out there. All right, we're going to move on to point number 3, and that's course management. This is the strategic side of golf, requiring you to think through your shots and each shot based on your skill level. And certainly, if you're a pro, that's something you're working on all the time as well, as opposed to your ball striking. So how do we save strokes here? How do we incorporate our course management into the game? What do we need to be thinking about when we're navigating ourselves around the golf course? And then I'll talk about what amateurs need to know.
So again, I'm going to try to keep it at that 100 level. And we hear the phrase course management. Well, I'm always telling my golfers whether they shoot 100 or they shoot 66, you don't manage the golf course. Mother Nature and the superintendent manages the golf course.
Right.
Your job is to manage yourself and to have all the education about the golf course you're about to play readily available in your brain to make good decisions, not just solely on what the golf course is providing you, but the tools you have in your tool chest that day. And I'm not just talking about the golf clubs, I'm talking about what you can do right now, that day, with that shot. The shot you hit yesterday may not show up today, may
Yeah.
not show up tomorrow. Having it in your brain, knowing that you can do it is one thing. Having in your brain that you know how you did it, that's something else. The creme de la creme is not only did you know what you did and how you did it, you went out and practiced it under some realistic conditions and simulate it. So the next time you're faced with it, you can do it. That's really number one. I see so many expectations from the golfers who shoot 100 and shoot 90. I'm really good at this sport. Why can't I do it with golf?
Right.
You haven't prepared. You haven't thought it out clearly, and you're thinking I've got to manage the golf course. No, you got to manage yourself. The first thing you've got to have is an inventory of what you're capable of. Number two, a lot of people don't know this. Golf courses are built backwards. Golf courses, they build the greens and the green complexes, and based on the land use management of the whole project plan, whether there's homes or not and so forth, they work backwards. Have you ever looked backwards from a green and really seen what the hole is about? That's where you're going to get the true nature of what the architect was thinking of for you, the
Mhm.
average golfer. Here's where you need to play it. And there's two rules of thumb that I love to give even good players, because sometimes they'll tend to forget this. You're looking up the tee box here at the old course. It's a 550 yard straight up the hill, 75 feet of elevation. There's two fairway bunkers down the left hand side. You see those predominantly from the tee boxes. You're climbing the hill. You don't want to go left. You don't want to go left. So you start pushing it right into the trees. And then you get up to the green and look backwards. And those bunkers are gone. They're nowhere to be found.
Right.
The architect's basically telling you, looking backwards, you should never have ever been worried about those bunkers. When you're looking at a fairway bunker with a high lip that's towards the green, that's an indication it's not in play. It could be a target. And your job is, to, if you're using it as a target, pick a club that doesn't get you in there or it goes over.
Mhm.
Or third, your ball flight curves away from it.
Yeah.
Really, really simple things to think about. And I think the third and final thing is you got to play with what you got. You can't be out there trying to fix things. I see so many high handicappers in a fix it mode. Golf's meant to be played. Why are you going out to try to fix something? It's too late to fix it. You just got to go out there and play with it. But understanding how the holes are shaped and why the architect's putting certain features in certain places, if you've got that inventory, which is your predominant ball flight, and you're willing to set up on different sides of the tee boxes to geometrically allow your ball flight to fly back into play, to be able to know, hey, here's a pin that's out of my reach, not because I can't hit it there, but because the curvature is going to put me in danger. I'm going to aim somewhere else. These are all things that I would add up to the difference between dumb and stupid.
Yeah.
The thing I would ask you to play is dumb golf. It's okay to play dumb golf. Dumb means you don't know anything. You didn't know any better. When you've experienced it and now you have the situation again, you decide to do it all over again, that's stupid. You
Yeah.
knew better.
Right. Yes. Well put. And just to add real quick, and then I'm going to give the some of the amateurs what they should know. In addition to what you said, is sometimes that fairway bunker can be your friend. So it could be a good target. So, as you said, what amateurs should know though, if they're learning to wanting to navigate a little bit better around the golf course, you need to know your shot tendencies. Are you more likely to slice or hook the ball? If you have a left to right slice or aim, to the left side of the fairway to account for it. There's a lot of things in that area to consider. Aim for the center of the green rather than targeting a dangerous pin position, hitting the fat part of the green increases, your chances of making a 2-putt par. And make sure always, this is a big one that a lot of amateurs, the old testosterone gets going, play from the correct tees. Using tees appropriate for your skill level rather than ego, as I pointed out, makes the course more enjoyable and manageable. I think those are all good tips to be able to help.
Ted, I got to call you out because you do the Women in Golf show. It's not just testosterone that does that; estrogen does it too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, you're right. But I'll tell you what, the ladies do a better job of handling it than the men do. I can guarantee you that. Especially
I plead the fifth.
Yeah. All right. The fourth one here is swing fundamentals, grip and setup and that sort of thing. While many focus on the perfect swing, which really doesn't exist. There's some good swings out there. I think amateurs, just like the great Jack Nicklaus always talked about, he always, beginning of every season, focused on making sure his fundamentals were sound. So how do we save strokes there? And I'll tell you what some things that amateurs should know.
I would tell you you need to obsess and make perfect your setup. That's the difference between night and day. That's the difference between a good shot and a bad shot 95% of the time for the average amateur. Uh, the tour pros obsess about it, and you see that when you're watching television and they're on the range and they've got this alignment sticks out and they've got the measuring devices out and their coaches are there talking to them. They're not talking a whole lot about movement. They're not talking a whole lot about how they swing. They're literally dissecting down to the degree, hey, this curved more because you were aimed to this side or that side more. Your top hand position is real critical. I got a shout out to Ian Mucklow up in Canada. He's doing a tremendous job researching grip and grip pressure. And your top hand is a culprit. For me, my left hand, particularly these three fingers, the pinky, the ring finger, and the middle finger, tend to let go of the club as you swing.
Mm-hmm.
Can you work on more dexterity, more grip strength that's in the fingers to where when you're at the top of your swing, you're holding on to that club more securely? What Ian's finding out is you let go of the club throughout the entire swing, where a tour pro is steadily gaining more security to where at impact it's totally secure.
Mm-hmm.
So from a grip standpoint of view, is it in the fingers? Can you hold it in the finger versus the palm of your hand? There's more security there. But if you're not used to using the top hand because that's your weaker hand, I would tell you it's not just the placement. You've got to start working on these three fingers, getting a little bit more dexterous, a little bit stronger so that can happen. The other thing is ball position. When people tend to aim incorrectly, and that's probably the number one priority I give everyone. It is the number one priority I give everyone. Ball position can suffer when you're misaimed. What I see with the average amateur, no matter which side of the ball they're swinging from, they'll tend to put that ball position way forward. And then they ask the common question, why am I chunking it or why am I topping it? As far as topping it, we've talked about before the swing arc. As you start swinging up and the ball positions forward, yes, you deserve to hit the top of the ball. And that's exactly what's happening. But the reason why the ball positions forward and you're chunking it is because you know you got to go down and get it. Maybe you've swayed too soon. Maybe you're tossing the club too soon. The swing is somewhat of a toss, but the toss has got to be timed out correctly. It's not back here, it's down where the ball is.
Yep.
So that ball position is critical. Make some practice swings. Let the club brush the ground. I bet you it brushes the ground in the exact same place every time. That's where your ball should be.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to find the low point in your swing. Otherwise, you're not going to make good, solid contact. Just some other things that amateurs should know, and you talked about this very well. Need to learn to master the grip. Find a grip like the interlock, overlap, or 10-finger grip that works for you and provides the best club face control, because that's what it's about, is controlling the club face. Also, maintaining a proper posture, keeping your spine angle constant throughout the swing. You don't want to start standing up or slouching down as your swing. Consistency is by far more important than power. Focus on hitting the ball solidly first, and distance will come later. So those are some things in addition to what John just talked about that we want to keep in mind. And the last one, John, is the mind game and attitude. Golf is much more a mental game as a physical one. Many amateurs' attitude directly impacts their performance and enjoyment of the sport. So how can we get our mind right to save some strokes? And then I'll give some final thoughts on what amateurs need to know.
Two things come to mind right away. The amateur who cares so much that they may be caring too much. And when you're carrying that amount, you're trying to be as good as you can be. And the slightest little error can just totally ruin, or what you believe to be ruin, an entire round. Let's back up a second. The fact that you care is fantastic. How much you care, if you're caring too much, in a very comical but a very serious way, I always ask somebody, wow, golf must be really up high in your priority list. What is it? A? Is it number A or is it B? Because there's a lot of other things that I have in those A or B places, kind of thing. Family, my business, my faith, whatever it happens to be.
Mm-hmm.
So setting your mind right from the beginning is not that you're caring too little, but believe it or not, you can care too much. And that typically causes the tension you feel as you swing, and is one of the culprits of your bad swings or the bad results. So you got to really level. My father always told me, John, when I played professional soccer, when I was in high school before that, you're not going to go anywhere until your highs are no longer too high and your lows are no longer too low. And it's got to be leveled out. And that's what I try to do on course, not necessarily at the range. I'll let somebody get a little frustrated because it's a laboratory. You can try few things and experiment, and it's okay to get frustrated there. But on the course, you've got to be your best friend. And if your highs are too high and you're caring too much, then you know what? You're going to have to learn from that mistake. The second thing I see as far as mindset is, are you prepared? Do you have a plan? Are you willing to stick to the plan regardless of wind or weather conditions? No matter, are you willing to stick with the plan because I got paired with an idiot and I don't like this person, but I still got to play? Whether it's tournaments or you were a single and you're thrown into a threesome on a Saturday morning. Are you prepared to deal with your circumstances? Are you prepared to deal with your adversities?
Mm-hmm.
That's not about caring. This is totally different. You have to be willing to play Murphy's Law every shot and use what I call conservative aggression. If you know your inventory, know the toolbox that you have that day, let's not try to play the hero shot all the time, not even when you're trying to put the ball in play off the tee. Can I make a conservative decision on what shot I'm going to hit and how I'm going to set up? And what that does, it frees the mind and body to play aggressively, not overly aggressive, not a bull in a china shop kind of thing. What I see hundreds golfers doing is the opposite. They make this crazy aggressive decision. They set up for it not properly, but then all of a sudden in the middle of the swing, they go, uh-oh. And they get really conservative with how they swing. And that uh-oh moment is actually a worse mistake than if you just went ahead and swung. Think about it the other way. Can you control your emotions and not be so high and not be so overcaring, sort of flatline it, and have a plan that allows you to understand what your toolbox is that day and make the conservative decisions so you can sit up freely and swing freely? I think you'll surprise yourself if you do those two things.
Yeah, well said. And just a few more things I want to add to what amateurs should know is accept your misses. Every golfer hits bad shots. Don't let a poor shot on the first hole ruin the rest of your round. And a lot of people do that. Even sometimes the first couple of holes, they've had a few rough patches, and the next thing you know, their whole round sort of falls to the ground. And be honest about your game. Lying about your score or taking too many mulligans prevents you from truly tracking your progress and understanding where you need to improve. So you need to make sure that you look at that. And then lastly is adopt a pre-shot routine whenever possible. I think it's important. I think this helps focus your mind and create a consistent, repeatable process for every shot. That's why the pros do it. And if they're doing it, there's no reason why you shouldn't do it. So those are the five, I think important things for amateurs need to know. And I think it's, something that if they continue to focus on those instead of just worrying about trying to make the best looking swing all the time. Who cares what the swing? I mean, everybody talks about Trevino's swing, Jim Furyk, and several others. They didn't have the prettiest swings out in tour, but boy, they sure did win some tournaments. So, great.
Do you want to be functional or do you want to have great form?
Right, exactly. Yeah, the film looks great, but the score sucks. So who really cares, right? I mean, that you're not out there shooting YouTube videos, and if that's what you're out there doing, then great. But if you want to become a better golfer, then you have to follow what we've been talking about here tonight. So John, as always, great discussion. I know it's getting dark there, so we're going to have to wrap up.
Isn't it beautiful though?
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Got some beautiful lights in the background, and I can still see you, so we're good. But thank you as always for joining the Coach's Corner. As always, I'm going to give you an opportunity to let the folks know how they can reach out, and if there's anything quickly that you'd like to plug as we wrap up.
Yeah, let's start with the plug because the topic tonight couldn't have been more apropos. Literally, I'm within 48 hours of publishing my first book called Instant Golf Improvement. And there's actually 6 things in there, and we covered 4 of them tonight. It's a really good read. It was written out of frustration. My frustration is people come for a lesson and they don't practice afterwards,
Yeah.
and they come to the next one thinking I've got magic dust. And I've always said that if I have Cheech and Chong's magic dust that makes the reindeer fly for Santa, I wouldn't be here with you. I wouldn't be helping you.
Right.
And it just got to the point I'm seeing over time the evolution of generations that love golf, but they're not putting in the time. So what instant golf improvement's about is 6 things that if you change your attitude, if you change your heart direction about golf and just apply some things without practice, you've got the possibility of experiencing that instant. And I'm hoping people will take to it realistically. It's not meant as a panacea. It's not meant to the cure all. It's more meant to, hey, this is for you because this is what you're showing me on the range. And if you do these things, you may improve it so much that you may want to come back and take a real lesson at some point. And that's going to be released, I'm hoping, within the next 5 days. It goes to Amazon within the next 48 hours. So I'm really excited about that. There's a new website with virtual coaching with IGI. There will be new golf schools announced on that website. It's all coming out here in a matter of a few days. And I've got you to thank because you pointed out a couple of years ago as you were with me at another location that I shouldn't get so frustrated about that. And I had this project in the back of me and decided at that point, hey, I needed to finish it. So thank you for that.
Well, my pleasure. And John, it's always an honor to have you on the show. You were my first coach rather on the Coach's Corner. You and I have been through this journey as well on the podcast for many years, and I appreciate all of the encouraging words that you've given me as well, and sometimes even a few verbal spankings along the way. So I appreciate that. And yeah, exactly. But no, you've done a great job. I'm excited. So how can the folks, if they want to reach out, how can they get in touch with you, John, and whether it's to take some lessons or to get more information in general about what you're doing coming up?
Sure. So I'm at the end of my residency here for the fall at Omni Homestead. We are in active discussions earlier this evening, getting dates for 2026 and should be announcing those shortly just in time for holiday gift giving. I'm at the Omni Champions Gate Resort, Omni Orlando Resort at Champions Gate to be official. Wonderful place, 2 great golf courses as they have here, wonderful hotel, great service. I now have some assistant coaches helping me there. Easy to find me, johnhughesgolf.com. Put an ampersand or a hashtag in front of that. And you're going to find me on social media, email, text, call. I've got something that I believe separates me from everyone else. If you contact me by 5 o'clock Eastern every day, you're guaranteed a reply. And to me, that's critical because if you're contacting me, you've got a need for improvement. we want to help you improve those golf skills of yours. So that's how you can find me. And whether it's here at Homestead next year or beginning in about 10 days through, say, May of next year, come see me in Orlando, and love to be your host there.
I appreciate it, John. As always, thank you for bringing your best to the Coach's Corner panel here on Golf Talk Live. All right, I'm going to take a quick commercial break, and when I come back, I'll be joined by my featured guest of the evening.
Improve your putting with the Alignment Ball Marker, a revolutionary new in-game putting alignment tool and ball marker. Its patented design allows you to read your putt and adjust your alignment at the same time by using your putter, which improves your accuracy and makes the process of putting faster. 100% legal according to the USGA, by their definition, permitted under the rules of golf. Winner of Best New Product at the PGA Show and only $9.99 on Amazon. And it's also completely customizable for any golf event or as a promotional giveaway. Order at alignmentballmark.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I'm super excited to have tonight's featured guest, Marcy Komoda. He is the CEO and co-founder of Proto Concept Golf, and I'll tell you a little bit about him, and then we're going to get into tonight's featured discussion with my very special guest. Marcy Komoda, as I said, is the CEO and co-founder of Proto Concept Golf. He's a trailblazer in the golf industry from Japan, has held the position of CEO since 2021. 3 years after the company's inception. His significant accomplishments in creating top-tier golf equipment, expanding international sales programs, crafting award-winning marketing campaigns, and forging successful collaborations have all led to his present position of leadership. His expert passion and expertise has culminated in a comprehensive Proto Concept Golf Tour program, which has been linked in numerous to 5 finishes, top 10 placements, and 5 professional tour victories in 2024. Under Komoda's guidance, Proto Concept Golf moved its corporate headquarters from Japan to North America. So we're going to talk to him about that in a little bit more. But Marcy, welcome to the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the having time, and then it's good introductions. It's more than what I expected.
No. I'm always about interaction. So it's a pleasure and an honor to have you here, and I'm really excited to learn more. So what I'm going to do is do this.
Yes, sir.
Before we get into the more serious talk, I want to know a little bit more about you. So when was your first introduction to golf? Not as a professional, but as in the business, but just golf in general. When did you first start playing? When you were young, or when did you first sort of get introduced to the game?
So I started to golf like when I was 10, 11 years old, and then just starting to play golf. And I have a really good passion towards the golf, but I'm not that good enough, as everyone else. And I just really want to do something to the business in the golf. So when I graduate university here in the U.S., and I had an opportunity to bring like a golf manufacturer company from Japan, which was 14 Golf. And 2005, I started off in the U.S. and grow the business. And so that was my like business started,
Right.
like for that, yes.
So at that point, so when you were playing, you said about 10 or 11 was when you started, and much like the rest of us, you came to realize that you were not going to be a professional tour player. So you
100%.
thought you'd do the next best thing, and you get into the golf business side of golf,
Yes.
and do some way of giving back to the game that obviously you enjoy. So,
Yes, sir.
so in 2005, you brought a business over from Japan. And then at some point you met your partner, if you will, in Proto Concept. How did that come about? When did that start to develop, and how did that sort of come about? Give us a little bit of background on that.
So during the COVID, 14 Golf decided to withdraw from the market. It was before the COVID,
Right.
and then during the COVID, they totally decided to withdraw from the market. But before the COVID, they decided to shutting down the company, but
Mm,
they want to leave the tour sport only. So I was just doing tour sport, but I didn't do anything for the sales. But
right.
I know the people who can help and who believe my business idea. So when the proto concept approached me, and first of all they send me their head, like actual head to head, and then I didn't expect that head was really good.
Hmm.
So I was kind of to see it, let me see it, let me check with it. But
Right.
when I received all the heads from Japan, proto concept heads, uh, that quality, performance, and the concept are outstanding. So by the time I was I wasn't sure before I received the product, but 100% sure we can do something with the head after I received and I opened the box. So after I build, I tested with my friend and also my like a supporter who are the golf store, and then they started to show the interest. And then people started asking me, where can we get these heads? And then so like it's kind of good timing to
Right.
starting to launching the product in the US, and with what I see.
Yeah. And so, what was it about the product? I mean, obviously, it's very, excuse me, a very high quality
Mm-hmm.
product net. But what specifically was it about the proto concept, the heads that really
Mm-hmm.
stood out to you? I mean, because as you know, there's so much on the market that we
Yes.
see out there, and I know that the Japanese quality and that you've experienced over the years is probably some of the best in the world. So you obviously have a very sharp eye when it comes to quality
Mm-hmm.
in golf equipment. So um, what was it about their product that stood out to you that said, I like this. I think I want to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm. So like every manufacturer can make it to good quality of the club now, because the, like the 5 years ago and the 10 years ago was a different situation. But now these days, everyone makes a good club and a good quality. But quality wise, if we are talking about the tolerance, and then also the head, each of the head is the same weight, which is tolerance is tight, and then also the finishes. So we make, so proto concept we don't do to build, and we don't do to make many heads. Just keep it the small batch all the time. So
Right.
200 heads to 400 heads for each round. So most of the company, they do 1,000, 2,000, three
Right.
thousand, more than that. But we just keep it at small batch. And then we measure quality control 100%. So each head, we measure the weight, we measure the loft, we check all the finish quality.
Right.
So that is what we design, what we came out, what we sell. Every single head the same standard in their our company standard. So that's quality, and then the performance. Each of the head is pretty outstanding.
So what, if I understand you correctly, so what you're really saying is by producing it in smaller, more defined quantities, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
quality stays consistent, because after a while, like if you have, as you said, if you have like 1,000 or 2,000, after a while the consistency starts to fade because the quality of the material,
Yes.
it's harder to spread it that
Yeah.
thin, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So by keeping it with smaller batch numbers, that keeps the consistency
Yes, sir.
throughout the product, and that's
Yeah.
really what you were looking for, and that's what caught your eye.
Yes, and
Gotcha.
and I just don't want to blame some other manufacturer, so I
Sure,
try
that's
to
fine.
use a nice word to describe.
Right,
But
right, right.
yes, you are 100% right, and it's kind of difficult to keep really good quality of the club if we produce and manufacture like 1,000, 2,000
Yeah.
each time.
Yeah, when you're
So, mhm.
right, when you're doing high volumes like that, you're again, it's very hard to keep quality control at that point. And now I'm glad you pointed that out, because now I can use that as an excuse for my golf game, because I'm not using your product, so I can
No,
say,
no,
well,
no, no,
I must have got a big batch.
no,
I must
no,
have it at
no.
the end of the batch, so now I can
It
use that as
doesn't match.
my thing. So, but no, I'm glad you pointed that out, because that is very important, I think, for people to
Yes, it is.
understand. And again, you're dealing with, it's great to produce mass quantity, but at the same time, you want quality to be there. And if it's not there, then people are not getting the performance that they want. And in a game that requires you to be very
Mhm.
consistent, if that quality is not consistent throughout the clubs, not just from one club, but throughout the whole set, if the heads
Yes,
are matching, and then there's more consistency in your game overall. And that's what people
yes,
want,
sir.
especially in golf. So I like how you
Hmm.
put that. But I'm making a note here for when I go out and play the next time with my foursome. I'm going to use that as
The excuse?
that's right. I'm going to
Yes,
say
but
I should have been
mhm.
playing Proto Concept
No, like
clubs.
it's good to try. Good to try.
Right, right,
What I say.
exactly. So,
Yeah, but because everyone comes down to the price wise, and then
right,
why is Proto Concept charging really higher than any other manufacturer? Because
it's
we keep
premium.
it small. Yes, 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 sir. So we don't make it to so many. We keep it lower, so that costs higher. If we started to make more volume,
Sure.
it's gonna be a little bit less the price. So.
Well, and that's why some of the big manufacturers, what's why they do that, is they want to be able to get the price point down so they can hit
Mhm.
a wider audience. So that makes a lot of sense. So when obviously I can tell that you have a lot of passion in what you do in that, but what drives you? What is it about this game that just drives you and really motivates you to do what you do? I mean, what sort of behind the man, if you will?
That's the short answer is this talk. Talking to you, you gave me the smile, you gives me smile, and then my passion, because we talk about like a golf, and then we talking about the good things about it, and then everyone, like a talking with good passions, good motivate, and then also the always, always, always smiling, right? And then I think it's no one talks about golf with depressing face, like
Yeah,
even it making mistake. Oh, hear me out, or
yeah,
just
yeah.
listen to this. That happened and that happened.
Right,
Oh
right.
no, right? But everyone get a smile, and then that's I like it. That's a keep me pretty good praise to giving my smile, and then my like passion to drive good way. Yes. So
Yeah,
this
that
is
makes a lot
all
of sense.
about.
I think again, to put this, to sort of summarize that, I think from a manufacturing standpoint, I think we need to close the excuse manufacturing for golfers that they have out on the course. I think that would be one manufacturing I hope goes out of business, because you're right. I mean, I talked on an earlier segment tonight's show with a fellow golf coach. We talked about attitude in the
Mm-hmm.
game. We all hit bad shots. We all hit some, but if you can't laugh about your game, and you're so serious now, obviously at
Yeah.
the tour level, I mean, even they're kind of rolling their eyes sometimes. I can't believe I hit that into that
Mm-hmm.
bunker, and I wanted to go here, or I wanted to go there. You have to have some fun. The main thing is you're out to play the game, but you have to have fun. And if you're not having fun and you're not enjoying yourself, then what are you doing out in the golf course? Go do
Right.
something
Right.
else, right? So
Right.
yeah, you exactly. So
Yeah.
we're going to talk about. I know you got the wedges. We're going to talk about that in a moment, but
Thank you,
I
sir.
want to get from your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you've had a chance to interact with customers. Give us some of the feedback that you've had from your customers. Obviously, you're dealing with a premium quality product. So again, your customers are looking for that. They're willing to pay for it. What's been
Mm-hmm.
some of the and what are they looking for when they come to you? Is it just the consistency and the overall performance, or they're looking for that sort of wow factor?
Wow factor with satisfactions,
Mhm.
because people buys the club, and then people means my customers, my
Sure.
friend, supporter, even the tour players. They started to reach me out. They contact me because they want to get like they want to see extra satisfactions with something like extra things. Extra things means like changing a golf club or golf coach and the specs, right? But
Yeah.
we only provide everything what we can do. We cannot provide any like a skill set. We
Right.
cannot provide anything power, any
Right.
no weight or jumping skill, right? But only that we can provide it to satisfaction, which is I can make you play better. How play better? If we're talking about like a distance wise, 147, 147. There's a short hole, 147. How do you hit? But I can go to a little bit cut it off, a little bit draw, maybe sometimes shorter. But if I can give you some golf club with consistency,
Right.
and then you can make better score.
Yep.
Used to be like a bogey, but I can that player would be making a par with consistency, maybe the body, and then that consistency gives you more satisfactions and more smile.
And I equate it to, well said. I equate it to, having the right tools and the right equipment. I mean, you have to bring, as a person, as a golfer, you have to bring the right skills to the game. But if you don't have the correct equipment, then that obviously does affect your game at some point. And it's kind of like, I look at it this way, if I was trying to put a screw into a piece of wood, I need a screwdriver.
Yes.
As opposed to bringing a jackhammer or some other, or you know what I'm saying? Again, you have to have the right tool. So the tools, if you will, in your case, it's equipment, has to be fitted properly to that particular player, which you can talk a little bit about if you'd like. And that's what they're looking for. I mean, obviously aesthetics. Everybody wants to look down at that golf club and they want to say, I like the look, I like that. And obviously they want the feel, but it has to perform well and it has to be fitted properly for that individual. So talk a little bit about that. What's the process that your customers go through to make sure that they're getting the best fitted club for them?
So under the many situations, what you described, that's happened to me many times. Because, for example, like a younger age of like a college student, college golfer, for example, they have their certain product from major manufacturers, but each hole they make mistake. Mistake means, oh, I cannot hit number 7. I cannot hit number 5. Or maybe my wedge distance is really inconsistent.
Yep.
And then check to the line loft or sink weight or specs from the flex is inconsistently to show what he or she is supposed to have in the back. So I was talking to that player's parents one time. So, my daughter is playing with a big manufacturer golf club. This the golf club, I got it from LPGA player.
Right.
That's good. That's a good gift from one of the LPGA player. But my daughter cannot hit these golf club. I said, of course, because that golf club fit for LPGA player, certain LPGA player on the field. It's not for your daughter. So that means you punishing your daughter every time she goes to the tournament.
Right.
Because you believe the equipment, but you didn't believe your daughter's skill, right? Because basically, I got the Michael Jordan basketball shoes, but I cannot make it a point because I wear the size 9, but he wear the size 14 or whatever, right? I cannot jump it, I cannot walk because of the size is different. And then so I was talking to them about the fitting process, and then also that what's important in the like a fitting golf club, because it's same as everything to be fit for you to be better score, making better score. But I usually starting to talk to the players or parents, and I said I don't push to sell at all. Once you agree with me, I can sell the golf club to you. But if you don't want to, you don't need to purchase from me because you
Right.
can go to big box and then purchase. So that is first ice break to approach. And then
Yep.
second, we are starting to the measure and then starting to talk about the play style, which is what you like, what you make mistake, how do you lose your score.
Mhm.
So that is the next step. And then just try to make it to flex and then length and line loft. And then so there's a multi-step what I do to fitting.
That you raised some really great points, because I remember growing up, much like you, I played a little bit earlier than you, a few years earlier than you, but I remember, my father, cutting down clubs and, getting
Mm-hmm.
hand-me-downs, if you will. And, at that stage it was okay. But as I got older and got, more developed, I had to be, and we didn't have the technology that you have today for fitting and things. I mean, it was a little
That's
bit
right.
different.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now it's so fine tuned. I mean, it's pretty hard to miss the mark. But what I like about what you just said is, who wouldn't I would love to have, Tiger Woods golf clubs.
Yes.
But, but I don't have
Everyone.
if I had Tiger Woods' game, to go with it, and his abilities, that might be fine, and, so forth. But you make a great point, because again, if you want, especially if you've got a college golf player, let's say they're playing for the men's or the women's team, whichever, doesn't matter. They're not going to play with a set of hand-me-down clubs and be successful out in the golf course if they're not fitted properly. So
That's
it's
right.
very important to make sure that they get out there, and make sure that the clubs are weighted properly for them, make sure the right lengths, the
Mm-hmm.
right flex. There's a million things that need to go through. And that's why I wanted to find out what some of the feedback, and that's a great point that you raised. So
Appreciate it.
how does it that feedback, how does it affect future design and developments? So you're getting a lot of information from your customers.
Mm-hmm.
Does that then translate into, okay, I'm hearing a lot of this, or I'm hearing a lot of this from our customers, we need to pivot, or we may make adjustments because this seems to be an underlying issue, not an issue per se, but that in a bad way, but they're wanting to see more distance, or they're wanting to see more of this. Do you get a lot of that feedback, and then sort of, not water it, but go through it and say, here's where we need to make some changes moving forward?
Yes, sir. So there's a certain players which I can talk about, but
Sure.
generally there's a two type of the players. So average Joe, everyday golfer, but it's even the everyday golfers. They played once a month
Sure.
or every week, right? So everyone want to get the distance
Sure.
or accuracy, but distance prefer, right?
Yeah.
So that is more towards to once a month average golfer. But if like to play every week, they don't need the distance, but they need the accuracy.
Right.
So they are more like to be narrow down to be aiming point what they want to hit it
Yep.
instead of right 300 yards, right?
Right.
So that's a totally depends. So what I see now, they make subtle mistakes because the head make it bigger, and then most of the golf club get it easier. So that's depend on the what's players' perspective, and then what they wants to change, or what they want to see it. So that's kind of, I cannot give you subtle answer to one
Sure.
directions.
Right. No, right.
But
No, I got it.
there's a two different type of the
It's a very
players what
broad
I see.
spectrum. Yeah, it's a very broad spectrum. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just wanted to maybe just get a general overview, and I realize every golfer is different, and every level of golfer. I mean, obviously the tour
Mm-hmm.
levels, they've already got the distance, so they're not really needing per se a big push on the distance. They're more is obviously consistency and I think it goes back to the point you said earlier, is not so much inconsistency in striking the ball, but consistency in their equipment. They want to know when they pick
Yes.
up this club that this is
Mm-hmm.
feels the same as this club, even though it's got a
Mm-hmm.
different loft and lie angle. They want to have that feel.
Yes.
Because to them, it's more about feel. It's not about, hitting at 300 yards. They're already hitting at 300 yards, right? Is that right?
You're 100% right. So right, because I'm talking most of the players when I speak with, I would say maybe you might lose your distance in the iron, but 5 irons goes to if I say 8 iron, 8 iron you used to hit 165, but with my spec maybe you might hit it like 155. You might lose 10 yards, but like a window is gonna be smaller, and then mistake and then tolerance is gonna be tight, which is
Right.
mistaking the tolerance. So which one you like? And then because always if you want to hit it 145, 150, I can give you certain club, but it might be shorter. It might be shorter means you used to hit a number 8, but now you need to number 7.
Right.
But I give you better score or making I can give you the more better making score.
Right. What you're doing basically is you might be trading a little bit of distance, but you're getting a tighter disbursement pattern.
Yes, disbursement pattern.
I know that's what you were looking for, because that again, that goes to the consistency, because one of the things that we see with a lot of our amateurs is they're spraying it all over the golf course. 1 minute they're in the right rough, the next minute they're in the left rough, maybe in the trees next time, and they need to tighten that down. So really, I always say to a lot of my students, and have for years, is I would rather you hit it 150 yards straight, and hitting it 200 yards, and you're, left, right, and all over the place.
100%.
Right?
I agree with you.
And that's what the tour players understand. I mean, again, obviously they're at a different level, but they're essentially, we're all human. We're the same thing. We want to play our best. We want to get out there. So they have to make sure that their equipment it fits them correctly, and it gives them the performance that they're looking for. And if you ask most tour players, if they can get a few extra yards out of it, great. But they're really looking for is they know that their accuracy has to be spot on, because it could be the difference of 10, 20, 100,000, $200,000 in an event if they're all over the place. So again, it comes down to what's the priority. So the tour players, their priority is more, they want that tight disbursement pattern. The amateur golfers, they just want to get more distance. Is that pretty accurate?
It is, sir. And then also what the tour player wants to, and then they want to get an extra forgiveness, right?
Sure.
Under the certain pressure, because when we play golf, I'm the amateurs, and I played once a month, and if making body on the pad, I get the nervous, and then everyone does. But it's par pad is different feeling, and then bogey pad is make it easy to make it a bogey, right? But and then if you hit it down in the middle of the fairway, is pretty good shot, and it comes to the like 120, 130 yard, and I try to make it to something a good shot, but making mistake. But if we have something forgiveness in the shot, which is head is easier to transaction to make it to contacting the ball, or something to be, I make it a cut, but it's cut, it doesn't go to right. It's going to be little bit baby cut.
Yeah.
It's helping it, making a better score, right? That is what we can provide extra forgiveness from the golf club. That's better score. In the end, everyone could be laughing it, right?
Well, yeah, and from a player standpoint, and again, I'm talking amateur players. If I can make it so I'm only hitting it, 10 feet to the right as opposed to 20 feet, that's a big difference. That now it could be the difference of keeping me in play or not being in play. So yeah, that's a big factor. You mentioned, which is interesting, you mentioned, obviously consistency, and especially on those short shots. So let's talk about the R wedges.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, let's talk about those. Those are pretty nice. So tell us about what you really like about those and how they're going to help players out there.
So when we started to design the wedges, our new wedges, which called RR wedges, um, people generally last 5-10 years, all the major manufacturers started to offer all kind of different grinding, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know the Ted, you like M grind, the T grind, or K grind. Everyone talking about, oh, I need to prefer the M grind. I need to prefer the T grind. But and then next they're talking about, oh, I need to have a low bounce, high bounce. But for me, and I'm talking to fitters, so where do you fit usually? And then they fit in-house, which is not outside, right? In the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And then so you are talking about the tough reactions, but tough reactions you cannot see from like a fitting studio in-house, because all the turf is like a just a general turf, just a mat, right?
Yep.
Mat doesn't see like a digging deeper, shallower, or narrower, right? So what are you talking about? What do everyone talking about like tough reaction to pick all the soul? Because this is based on my experience. Okay, your experience, that's good, but it's such a guessing each of the fitting, right?
Yep.
Because you hit deep, that is going to be more higher bounce, and then like M grind because you like to shape the M. But so our standpoint is, how can we fix these problem easily to choose which sole is be fit for you, for everyone. So we have AG is aggressive, and then NT is neutral, and the SP is a sweeper. So aggressive is people use the face more in their wedges. Is choose to we can recommend AG. So SP is people using more sole to be contact, and then going to be SP, and then NT is in the middle. So AG is people use more face to contact, giving more pressure, and then also the steep to the ball. So that's that is my swing, right? So easy to this you might be fit with AG sole choices. That is so that choice is more swing pattern instead of the what you like to hit. So this is kind of different approaching what we design it to. So people are fitting in-house, like a fitting studio, they can see the attacking angle, and then angle can relate it to what we suggest for the bounce and then soul grinding.
So you really, what you're doing then is you're giving multiple options for the same club for the different levels of players, and not just levels of players. So again, for somebody, as you said, that maybe hits down more and is looking to compress the ball more, they're going to have maybe AG.
Yes, sir.
And somebody that's maybe going to sweep a little bit more and not go as deep, would have one of the others. So to me, that makes more sense because again, you're 100% right. A lot of the fitting in that you see is done inside on a mat, and the mat
inside on a mat,
because the mats obviously tend to be a little softer in most cases, so you're going to get a little bit of a bounce in that, and it's good for some things, but again, you're not going to get really a true accurate reading. You've got to be outside hitting on actual turf, and it depends on where you are. If you're playing in Florida or you're playing, out in the desert, you have different consistencies.
Yes, sir.
Right. So you have to 100%. Allow for that, and tour players particularly have to allow for that because they're playing all over the world. So they're playing in not just different climates, but they're different turf conditions. So again, this is why the tour players typically have multiple choices in their equipment and have to make adjustments as they move from one coast to the other, or one venue to another, because again, the consistency is not going to be the same from let's say, playing in California than it would be up in the Northeast of the United States, or playing
Yeah.
over in Europe somewhere, or even in
Mm-hmm.
Japan. So again, everybody thinks, well, the grass is green, there's the tee box, everything's the same.
There's a difference.
Yeah, it's different. And that's why you and I are talking here instead of
Yes.
playing at Pebble Beach or whatever. So
Yes, sir.
right,
Color is the same, but it's
yeah,
different grasses.
right, exactly. So no, I get it. So as I mentioned earlier, you guys moved, Proto Concept moved from Japan and
Mm-hmm.
and is now in Southern California.
Yes,
So
sir.
obviously North America is a big market with so much
Mm-hmm.
competition. How did you decide what niche, if you will, that you guys wanted to go into? Because again, I know you're more of a premium club. You didn't want to, obviously, because you don't compete really with the big
We
box.
cannot. We
No,
cannot.
because I mean, again, you're fitting into a very unique niche, which is very good. I like that because,
Thank you, sir.
again, I think when you get into too much generality with anything, and that's fine for, like you said, the guy that plays once a month or maybe even once a
Mm-hmm.
week, he may have different needs. But if you're a tour level player playing in the PGA or the LPGA or even the Live Tour,
Mm-hmm.
where you're playing week in, week out, you can't be playing out of the box. You
No,
have to be
no, no,
playing
no.
something, as we talked about earlier. So that was something that you guys recognized. So how did you decide what your niche was going to be? Was that already decided when you sort of came about with Proto Concept, or was that something that gradually, as the business was developing, you said, we need to pick a lane that we want to be in?
Because when we decided to just do more R&D and like research and development, and also the designing from US side, because US side means from here, that is more information we can get. Because if we see good wedges and a good golf club, it's every golf club come out from here in the US. It's not used to be from Japan, used to be
Sure.
from like England, like a Schlesinger or some other club, right? But
Yeah.
now what we see is every golf club came out from here. Callaway, TaylorMade, Titleist, Ping, right? And everyone play with them. Everyone, no, it's not 100%, but
Sure.
most of the player are. So if we cannot compete with them, but we can get some sort of similar idea and similar information where we need to be. We need to be the same place, which is North America. And we go to Conferi Tour, we go to Live Tour, and we go to LPGA and try to get all the information, what they need. And then that needs to apply to our golf club design for the future.
Yeah.
That's the things we can do it, but we cannot do to mass product. We cannot do to have a big advertisement, but we know what they need to have or what they expect to have, and which is help. And then help comes to the design, and then it's applied to what they want, what we can provide, and it's good golf club, right? So that's the reason is we are here now,
Well, and I think it gives you a uniqueness because, again, and I don't say this as a criticism to some of the bigger companies, but what I often see with the bigger companies is that, again, that sort of a very broad approach to the game. And
Mm-hmm.
again, when you're somebody that's a weekend warrior, or you're a collegiate golfer, or Corn Ferry Tour, LPGA, whatever, you have different levels, and obviously the tour levels are being taken care of in a different way, even with the big box that we call the big box guys. But what you're really doing is you're really hyper focusing on a very unique clientele, in the sense that these are people that want to, again, get the quality. Number one is they want the quality, but
Mm-hmm.
they want the consistency, and they want to know that when they come back and they're ready to make changes or whatever, they know that consistency is still going to be there, where that's not always the case. You can buy a set of brand X which is very common in the marketplace. And the next time, they come out with a new model and you go and get that, and there's not the same consistency. It's different.
Yes.
So for you, it really gives a very unique approach to that and allows you to really, again, be hyper-focused with your customers. I want to go back to and add to one of the questions I asked you earlier, and I said about getting feedback and how that sort of affects future design and developments. I want to twist that question a little bit, and I want to know, are there any of your game improvement wants or needs that have been injected into the design? So in other words, from your own game, are there certain things that you look for personally in your game that you say, I think this is something that we come across with other players? Is there anything in your designs with your company that have been inspired by your own personal experiences?
So if we talk about the design, or if we talk about the future is the direction, right? And then I wanna feel this is kind of difficult to explain, but everyone has sixth sense, right?
Right. Yeah.
We don't know how we can explain, but we know this is good. This is not good for me, right?
Right.
So I want to hit more sixth sense to be feeling something to be people cannot explain. But this is because we cannot explain now, like in the golf, probably like over the 100 years and 120 years. But even now we are talking about the mechanics, and we even know we are talking about the dynamics of the golf swing, right? But they know, they means we know, they know what is good, what is bad, what is not the good. But that is about like hitting the sixth sense to be. We cannot explain to what is really good to everyone else. But if I feel good, it's good. If you feel it's good, it's good. So this would be my goal, to hit the sixth sense to be. I don't know why I like this, but I really like this. It is, and then that is a club to, for example, that might be your hybrid wood, or maybe your wedges. But everyone have stick with hybrid club to be. Oh, I like this hybrid club, but I cannot change it to anything new because I don't know why, but I like it in the bag. And then last 10 years, and then maybe next 5-6 years, stick with this hybrid. But I don't know why I like it. But this is hitting the sixth sense.
So let me ask you, let me phrase this in a way, and you tell me if I'm correct. So really what you're saying to me is you're trying to appeal to their emotional side as opposed to their physical side. In other words, it's all about feeling, not just feeling with the club in the hand, but a personal feeling. In other words, you're hitting them almost at an emotional level and saying, I like that club because it feels good. It does what I need it to do. And obviously it looks good too. But so is that what when you're saying sixth sense, is that what you're really talking about? It's developing an emotional attachment to that equipment because they're happy with how it's performing for them.
Yes. So guys, it came down to the satisfaction, because I believe that this feeling is 100% right, 100% correct, and then it works well. But I make it to this same swing weight, same specs with different manufacturer, but doesn't feel right. Sometimes that happen, right?
Right.
But this is right because I spoke with Marcy, or I spoke with this guy, and then that make it to better golf club. And then that is probably head quality or something to be it's a good assemble or right spec to be set it up. But we can describe all the numbers, land, loft, whatever. But one of the point we cannot explain, which is satisfaction. I like this stick. I like this club, but I cannot explain it. But this comes down to be brand loyalty.
Sure. Yeah.
In the future, because I like people said I like Callaway because I cannot change from Callaway because I don't know why I like it, but I like Callaway. right? This is
having a
more.
certain car. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
I've driven a Toyota or I've driven a, Mercedes or whatever. Yeah, and I get that. And it's funny because I know people that have gone into a pro shop and they'll look at a club, and just by the looks alone, they'll develop an emotional attachment to it. They'll say, I like the look and the feel of this club. I don't know why. I just do.
I don't know why.
They'll pick up the one next to it, which is very similar. I don't like that one.
Yes.
Never hitting either one of them.
Like this, right? Just this.
It's almost like, and I know this is getting a little philosophical, but it's almost like in a relationship, you meet somebody right away, there's a certain chemistry.
Yes, sir.
And then beyond that, you develop the relationship and so forth. Your equipment is very much like that. There's certainly a visual appeal right away, but then what you're doing is you're taking it a step further. You're saying, okay, well, I'm going to help you to get to know my clubs a little bit better. I'm going to find out what it is that you're looking for, what you need, and how I can best provide that to you, so that when you go away from here, it's not just, hey, you got a great looking set of clubs. You've got a set of clubs that are custom made, fine tuned to you personally, to your needs, your abilities and whatnot, so that way it's not just a visual attachment, but there's an actual feeling that develops because they work the way I want them to work, not what the manufacturer tells me that they should work. Is that accurate?
That's right. That's why what I say comes down to my fitting, because if you used to hit number 7, 167, 165, but my 7 would be 157 all the time, right? Losing 8 yards, but it's going to be 157 all the time to spot it on, consistency. But I didn't change my swing, but I don't know why it can go to, but I feel this is my club. This is my stick, right? That is what I can provide, what I can do it.
Yeah, but that's valuable though to even amateur players, because one of the biggest problems is inconsistency on the golf course. They don't know how far, number one, they're hitting their clubs anyways, and they're hitting them different distances because, again, whether it's because of the equipment's not fitted properly or it's their golf swing or what have you. So having those numbers and having that consistency in your equipment makes a big difference. Is ultimately going to result in lower scores. And again, more consistent play and more fun is what we talked about at the very beginning of our discussion. Is you want to make it fun for people, right?
This is passion. Yeah, right.
Exactly. And get out and yeah, you're going to hit some bad shots. It doesn't matter what you're playing, but you're going to have some bad shots. But at least you're going to have fun doing it. And I like this. I like that. You got a great smile, and thank you.
No, you have it. You gave me the smile. That's why we are talking.
I was glad to make you laugh a few times, so that's good. Well, listen, I'm going to give them the website. It's protoconceptgolf.com is the website. I want all of the listeners to go and check this out. Their equipment is fantastic. And Marcy, thank you very much for being my special guest tonight. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I hope you come back and visit me again, and we'll talk about that in more depth. But thank you for sharing with me. Yeah, we'll when you got something else to share. That's right.
Yes, sir.
But I appreciate it. So let me just wind down the show. So I want to thank all of my guests tonight. Special thanks to my good friend John Hughes for joining me in the Coach's Corner panel earlier tonight. And then also a very special thanks to my featured guest tonight, Marcy Komoda from Proto Concept Golf. Thank you very much. And again, go to the website, protoconceptgolf.com. And again, thank you for tuning in tonight to the broadcast. And I will see you next week right here on Golf Talk Live. God bless everybody and have a great weekend.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this week's broadcast of Golf Talk Live. We'd like to thank this week's Coach's Corner panel, and a special thank you to tonight's guest. Remember to join Ted every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central on Golf Talk Live. And be sure to follow Ted on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're interested in being a guest on Golf Talk Live, send Ted an email at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. This has been a production of the iGolf Sports Network.